Hi, it's me, Gatsby, from Gatskin, making a follow-up video to the one I made about a month ago, where I talked about Artfight's controversial rules. Considering that video is one of my most viewed videos as of late, I thought it was the right thing to do to make a follow-up, especially since some things have in fact happened since I made that first video. But first, I just want to say that original video that I made, Artfight, This Is Stupid, or whatever I called it, it was not a good video. It was a very spur-of-the-moment, surface-level research. Basically, I made it because I wanted an outlet to complain about something I thought was stupid. So if you want a refresher on this whole Artfight rule debacle situation, I would heavily recommend watching the video. It's not just about Artfight though, by Marimo. Their video goes way more into depth about this whole thing, and to put it simply, it's just a better video. Go watch that one, and maybe come back to this one later. I don't know. You do what you want. Live your life. The main thing I want to talk about in this video is that after all the, for lack of a better term, outrage from the Artfight user base, the staff of Artfight, they held a survey, voting, whatever you want to call it thing, where users would provide input on those specific rules, you know, about no tracing, no photo bashing. There was stuff about their rulings on putting do not interacts or DNIs and abouts that, honestly, that whole thing went over my head. I had no idea that was an issue people were having trouble with. So a lot of that is, I'm not as knowledgeable on that specifically. But basically all the gripes people had, they put out a survey for people to express their gripes, their inputs, yada, yada, yada. And from that information that was given to them, staff, they have updated the rules. So I just want to quickly go over those because spoiler alert here, I think they did great. I like everything they did, but there is one thing that I kind of roll my eyes at, but we will get into that. So let's take a look at their official news post that they published yesterday. Okay, hi, this is me, Gatsby, recording from my laptop here. There's also a bird outside. I don't know if my mic can pick it up, so if you hear a bird, I can't stop that bird. It's a very loud bird. This is my second time also recording this whole thing, because the first time my mic did not pick up. Let's get into this. Artfight June Rules Update, published the 9th of June, 2026. Also, apologies in advance. You guys are gonna hear so much of my inability to speak properly in this, but let's get through this. Hello everyone, thank you for being patient with us as we took the time to parse through all the feedback you gave us in the last Rules Update news post. We want to thank everyone who took the time to fill out the feedback form. Your input and perspectives were invaluable to the finalization of these rules. We feel as though we have put together a solid foundation to move forward with based on the feedback we received. And I'm not going to waste your time here reading the rest of this initial response. You can go to Artfight, you can go to their news tab, you can read this yourself. But basically, it just gives an overview of, you know, their thought process throughout this whole thing, what their plans are going to be, yada yada. Form response. This is basically that form, that survey everybody filled out, the results of that. They have their own terms of what they define as tracing and guidelining. Tracing, as they defined it, is drawing directly on top of a resource line for line with little to no variation made to the source material, such as posing. Guidelining refers to sketching basic shapes and or lines on top of a reference to capture the proportions of the underlying image. But this does not preserve detail, resulting in conscious variations and changes from the source material. After using either technique, the rest of the image is completed freehand. And here we have all the results from the various questions, you know, asked. But yeah, there's this whole entire thing with, like, they made a rule about DNIs that was, like, very controversial. I will admit that whole entire segment of the May rule update totally went over my head. What does the saying go? Not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not gonna worry about this. So yes, here we are. Updates to the rules. Upload Rule 10, tracing and guidelining for posting help/reference are now allowed on artfight with restrictions. Basically, reading over this, it's, making sure that, when you're tracing or guidelining, you're changing stuff as you do it, whether that be modifying the position of one or more limb, or, just changing what the person is holding or the position of their hand, that kind of thing. You still will not be able to trace over other people's art. Where is it here? So yeah, you can't trace over classical paintings, bases, draw your squad art memes, or, art pose references, that kind of thing. Visual referencing still allowed on artfight, so don't worry, if you do your traditional reference where you have like your reference tab or whatever, that has been and will still continue to be allowed. And here's goes to more in depth on how for 3D posable models. So 3D posable models can be pre-posed, as it is considered a method to plan attacks similar to storyboarding or thumbnailing. Though reusing the same photograph in multiple attacks is not allowed, it would be considered base usage. 3D posable models may be reused, though they must be posed differently for each use. All the attacks must respect the character's design to the best of your ability. Of course, you are strongly encouraged to provide credit for the resources you used. And here's one I found that was interesting to this update. Furthermore, tracing will not be receiving penalties in the form of reduced points. We understand a common concern among users was point farming, though we do not believe penalizing tools widely used by many in the art process is a solution to those concerns. This goes in, base usage, 2D drawn bases remain disallowed for attacks, but can be used for character images with credit. We considered drawn 2D bases to be a different medium than textile and 3D models. Goes a bit more depth into that. Photo bashing and collaging. This was one that really baffled me when I read those original rulings. This is the one that I was still a little bit iffy on. Basically, photo bashing and collaging are now allowed to be used in an attack and character image backgrounds, as well as tracing, guidelining, and visual referencing. But characters whose designs are made of photo bashed or collaged elements will be continued to disallowed at this time. So basically, from my understanding on how this is worded, you can collage or photo bash in like the background and whatnot. Just don't use it as like a character. And I'm still a little like, eye rolly at that. Like, you can do it for the background, but not the character. However, how they explain their ruling on this, I'm a lot more understanding. This is due to our concerns with configuring the process of collage/photo bashing into a rating system and the usage of images that violate our rules against photographs of real people. And of course, immediately right after that, they're basically the sentence right here. As we previously mentioned in our rules and updates clarification news post, we will be releasing an attack ratings feedback form once we have the developer resources to do so, which will be considered after this year's event. So basically, after this art fight, there's going to be another feedback form, and then, rules like this, we can put in our feedback, things might get changed around. So this is only for this year. Things might be different in the future. The DNIs, not my circus, not my monkeys. I'm not going to worry about that. So yeah, another paragraph about, their frequently asked questions revisions, and then their closing thoughts. Once more, artfight staff would like to thank everyone who took the time to provide input regarding the May rules update. Moving forward, we plan to release feedback forms prior to the implementation of significant changes to the site systems, i.e., rules, filters, and attack ratings, in hopes to create changes that reflect the best interest of our users and website. Your feedback is invaluable to us, and we hope that you have a great art fight. And Artfight staff, I hope you have a great Artfight as well. I can definitely... man, I definitely understand how this whole thing might have been very stressful for, you know, all of Artfight staff, so thank you. Thank you to them for doing all of this. I think they did go above and beyond. So, yeah, I'm gonna go on to other Gatsby here who's gonna close out the video. Smile. So yeah, literally everything I could have hoped for is there. Sure, once again, the photo bashing and collage rule is still a little wonky in my opinion, but considering their perspectives on it and how they are open to adjust and change the rules on it for future art fights based on user feedback, I will accept this. This is nice. I like how everything ended up. I'm quite content. So yeah, I'm still gonna do art fight this year. In fact, any and all art seen in this video was me drawing more of those chibi icons for my characters that I have. My account, for anyone who's curious, is Gatskin. It's spelled the same way as all my other socials. And you can tell it's me, because my icon is Grindel, from the hit 1981 Australian animated film, Grindel, Grindel, Grindel. That's a joke, no one's ever heard of that movie. Anyways, I do hope to make another art fight recap video like I've done these past 2 years. And I'm also going to be part of like this evil team called Team Tubers. And we're going to jump folks who have little to no attacks on them, so watch out. Hopefully I can get this out before the 14th. I'm kind of excited to see what teams it'll be this year. Every year I want it to be Knights versus Dragons, and every year I'm disappointed, and I'm probably going to be disappointed again this year, but I can still have hope. So until next time, this is Gatsby from Gatskin, signing out!